when you think of the 1982 regular season, what stories or moments immediately come to mind?
Well, I think 1982, first of all, is my most satisfying year in Major League Baseball. It was my last full season, and we ended up winning the World Series with the St. Louis Cardinals, and we did not have the best team talent-wise. So what stands out in my mind is here were the Expos with Dawson and Valentine and Carter and Wallach, and the Phillies had Schmitty and Carlton, and yet we had this team of, I think we had 63 home runs as a team. But we had guys that could go from first to third faster than anybody. We had a solid bullpen, and so I think it just stands out how this team came together and believed that they could win despite not having the most talent in the National League, particularly in the National League East.
Cardinals had the best record in the East in '91, but because of the strike and the playoff system, missed the postseason. Get off to a quick start in '82. Was there resentment over '81 and the strike, or just an eagerness to get back at it within the club?
I don't think there was a resentment. We were just sort of a victim of the way that played out. First of all, the '81 strike was just such an ugly time for baseball, and I was a player rep at the time and had a fairly close relationship with Bowie Kuhn, who was the commissioner. And I had told him when the strike started, I said, Bowie, the players are not going to give in. You might as well appeal to the owners and let's get this thing settled for the good of the fans. And of course that fell on deaf ears. And 51 days later, ironically, the owners had 51 days of strike insurance, and then the strike ended. So it was something that never should have happened, and because of that, the season was split. With the Cardinals, we had the best overall record, but we won not the first division or the second half. So we came up empty, and I don't think there was any resentment. It was just sort of a product of what baseball went through, which was a sad time.
Now, you touched on it earlier, but just describe the kind of approach Whitey Herzog and your Cardinals had in '82 with, Lonnie and Ozzie and Willie McGee, Ken Obergefell, Hernandez, so on and so forth.
Well, Whitey was so, he was the brightest manager that I ever played for when he was in the dugout. He had an edge about him. He could always get one up on the other manager, knew who to match up, pitcher versus hitter. But backtracking a little, when he took over our team in 1980, I actually was teammates with Whitey for a brief time in the late 50s. So I was one of the few guys that he really knew, and we came together, and he said, I'm going out and see the old man, which he affectionately called Gussie Busch, the owner of Budweiser. Said, we're going to win one more time, and this is the way I'm going to put the team together. And I'd have to say, selfishly, I still had designs on getting 300 wins, which would be sort of an automatic entry into the Hall of Fame. So I said, Whitey, I'm, 41 years old then? Do you think I can still pitch? What do you want me to do here? He said, I'm going to use you as a lefty-lefty relief specialist. I'm going to put my bullpen together. I'm going to build the team from the ninth inning back, the pitching staff. So I fell into that role and, wasn't a starting pitcher like I was for most of my career, but it was a very satisfying role. And Whitey began then. He went out and got Ozzie Smith. He got Bruce Sutter. He built the team around speed because at the time Busch Stadium was a huge ballpark, very difficult for home run hitters. We hit 63 home runs as a team in 1982. That'll tell you how difficult it was. There's 1.5 players hit that many today. And he built the team around speed, defense, and pitching, and he sort of crafted it for Busch Stadium, and it paid off.
You mentioned Bruce Sutter in there. Was he arguably the best closer in baseball that year in '82?
Well, he was in '82. I don't know if today's fans appreciate, in the days of the closer that comes in and maybe faces one hitter, two hitters, an inning at the most, what Raleigh Fingers and Goose Gossage and Bruce Sutter did during their careers. Because Bruce would come in sometimes in the 7th inning, sometimes in the 8th, and you have to get a couple guys out, and you sit and rest, and you have to go back out again in the 9th. Relief pitchers today don't have to do that. So he certainly was, in 1982, the most dominant relief pitcher in baseball.